On this edition of The Mix, get an up-close look inside a youth art camp. Find answers to common recycling questions. Meet some teens who help our libraries thrive. And go on the hunt with a local geocacher. That's all straight ahead on The Mix.
The band Phillock House in Fridley is well known for featuring artists and their work, much of it two-dimensional. A summer program is teaching young students to go beyond the frame. I'm Dan Carpenter, and today we go up close with the youth art camp. For a dozen young students, the summer break is a chance to tangle with new challenges. The name of this week-long summer camp,
remember, we're working together,
is Beyond the Frame.
They're all learning a little bit about weaving and working together and then problem solving on how to do this collaboration and make it work so that we can hang it. And just a lot of skills that artists in everyday life use.
Unlike a two-dimensional painting, the art being created here can be held, worn, and can even surround you.
I'm thinking to do it tall on the tree so you can walk under and then you can look up and then you can see this part of it.
Someone needs to get that side ready.
Leading the class is Vanessa Mary.
So let me show you something here. We need something that would give it leverage.
An art teacher devoted to giving her students real skills they can use outside the classroom.
There is lots of art that you're in your studio alone, doing stuff by yourself, not interacting, but then there is a lot of art where, yes, you do have to interact. And nowadays, if you want to be a successful artist, you need to make those connections with other artists. You constantly learn from other artists.
These assignments use both science and engineering.
Hold this side until they're ready. And they don't know they're learning these things, but later in life, those little connections come in. It's stuck on the tree bark.
In order to successfully complete this interactive weaving project,
Oh no!
classmates must also learn to listen to the ideas of others.
Now we gotta push it on.
And ultimately, solve problems together.
For my hula hoop thing, I have the idea to have it hanging and there's this plastic sheets that we can use and I want to make a wall and a doorway so that people can walk inside of it.
This is the end result. Colorful, dynamic, and interactive.
That we're putting it out in public so people can interact with it, walk around it, look at it, interpret it the way they want to.
Other hands-on projects
Oh boy.
leave more than messy hands.
I got paint on them and on my arms.
Kids have no fear of art. They like to get messy, and that's kind of one of the great things about an art camp is that they do get to get messy. They get to experiment. And we're gonna do what's called a gel resist on paper.
This week-long camp allows these young artists to devote more time to a project than a traditional art class might allow.
So right now, you don't need to worry about getting it perfect. You're learning. This is your first time trying it. If you like this project and it's fun, you can experiment more with it. I kind of open up with the idea of it, but then hand it over and tell them, now it's your turn to create, so figure it out.
It's creative and fun. Some things are a little hard, but we get help with that.
Okay, so I told you we are going to try and resist. How did you get paint on your knees? Is it soap on yours?
Spray paint covers the backgrounds, while household dish soap allows the color to show through.
It turned out pretty good.
Yours is really cool. Yeah. Told you, yours looks like a dinosaur or something.
Learning new techniques together and sparking an interest in art that can last a lifetime. The last youth art camp will take place in August and feature spray painting. I'm Dan Carpenter, bringing you up close to art, history, and culture.
It's collection day in Coon Rapids, and we find recycling driver Jeff Wright at work lifting carts at the touch of a button. He closely watches everything dumped into the hopper.
And you generally have a few customers where you can kind of count on them putting something that doesn't belong or you kind of get an idea of what's coming.
And today it doesn't take long to find something that doesn't belong.
These pots aren't necessarily recycling.
In times like this, Walters Recycling tries to educate customers.
First thing we do is we have cart hangers that we actually hang on the carts that we can notify the customer about what is acceptable, what isn't acceptable, and also to let them know and touch base with them that this wasn't acceptable this week.
And then the big motto with recycling is when in doubt, toss it out.
Some of us, it seems, could use a refresher course on the basics, a little curbside recycling 101. So we brought Coon Rapids Recycling Coordinator Colleen Sinclair in studio to help us with recycling curbside.
Yeah, so what makes an item recyclable is if we have the ability to make it into something else. So if there's a strong demand for that item, then we can put it on the accepted items list.
On the table we have some basic recycling items, starting with plastics.
Yep, so plastics can be really confusing to the general public. How we identify plastic is if it has, on the bottom of every item you'll see an arrow. It looks like a recycling symbol. Inside that symbol is a number. Numbers 1, 2, and 5s are all accepted curbside for recycling, and we ask that you keep the caps on the items.
And next up we have some cans here.
Yep, so aluminum tin cans are the only two types of metal that should be placed in a curbside recycling bin. No other metal should go in a bin.
And how about the glass?
Yeah, so when it comes to glass, we want only food and beverage containers. Anything that is not something that you would drink from or get food from should not be placed in your recycling bin either.
And over here we have a variety of paper products that are recyclable.
Yeah, so paper is a little bit, there's more of it, so there's more questions that come with it. What makes something recyclable, it needs to be dry and clean. If it goes in your cupboard or your pantry at home, then it's something that can be recycled. If it goes in your refrigerator or your freezer, then we ask that you do not put it in the recycling bin.
In fact, there are far more things people wish they could recycle curbside.
It's called wish cycling. For the average person who doesn't quite understand what might be recyclable and what is not, they wish something would be recyclable, and that's what we call it. So when it comes to the metal, all of these items here are recyclable. They just are not recycled curbside. So it's common that we'll see, the handle off of a broom or a shovel, the shovel head, car parts, pots and pans, coat hangers. The big problem here that we have is Christmas lights. They're metal on the inside, plastic on the outside. Commonly, put in the recycling bin when they should not. The problem with these, we call them tanglers. At the recycling facility, they get caught up in the machinery and they get wrapped around the sprockets that are in there that moves everything around and actually will close down a plant.
So we have here, it's a hoodie, and this one people have found in their curbside recycling?
It is. It's actually a really common item, and again, it goes back to the concept that everyone knows these items are recyclable and that they have a second life, but they just have to go in a separate avenue. They can't go curbside because we don't have the means to get them to where they need to go.
Now, I was surprised on this next one. We have baby diapers.
Yeah, you'd be really surprised, and what the confusion base comes from is if you look at the box itself that the diapers come in, there is a recycling symbol on that. That means the box itself is recyclable, not the diaper. So the diaper should always be thrown in the trash can and never the recycling bin. But when we talked about earlier looking at the things we could recycle, we mentioned the pantry versus the fridge and freezer. So if something goes in the fridge and freezer, we don't want it in there. There's an additive in there that makes it not recyclable. So that's why we keep those out. Egg cartons are mostly glue and very little paper fiber, so they're more of a contaminant than they are anything being recycled for them.
Now we have a glass here.
Another big confusion. So beverage glass that we buy at the stores is made differently than a cup that you'd have in your cupboard, coffee cup, a vase, your mirror from your bathroom, things like that. Well, yes, they're all glass. They're not processed the same, and so that makes one recyclable and one not.
And our last item here, plastics. People think all of these items are recyclable.
Yeah, plastics can be really confusing and overwhelming to everyone. Plastic is not created equal, and as we talked about with that identification system, the 1s, 2s, and the 5s, you can see here, none of this fits that bill. So the front item there is black. It is a number 1, but it's black. Anything that's not clear or opaque is not recyclable, so there's no market for that. Plastic bags, and the envelopes, again, common conception, it's plastic, it should be recycled, and it can be, it's just not in the curbside bin. And then lastly, bagging your recycling. If you're going to put your recycling in a bag, use a brown paper grocery bag, and put that in your bin or empty it out. A lot of residents will put the recycling in a bag like that. It's really great clean recycling in that bag. It's wonderful material, but when it's contained in a bag, it just makes it become trash. There's no way for the sorting lines to identify that, break it open, and recycle what's inside of it.
And while some waste haulers have started to charge a fee for plastic bags, Walters isn't there yet.
If it's something that's just right on top of the bin, drivers are instructed to just jump out, grab the plastic bags, put them in the trash, and then dump the rest of the recycling, and then put a tag on there.
Poor recycling etiquette tends to develop pet peeves in drivers like Jeff Wright.
Trying to shove things on the top just to get them in a can, it's just better off set them in a bag right next to it.
It's important that we all follow the rules of the road, and the same can be said for recycling.
And a big thing is spreading the cans out. It's supposed to be given about 3 feet.
For more tips on curbside recycling, check out the Walters Facebook page and the City of Coon Rapids website. Our thanks to Walters Recycling and Colleen Sinclair for giving us the curbside recycling lesson today. And now we'll join Steve Erickson, who is on the path to finding good.
This month in Finding Good, we're here at the Crooked Lake Library, where we're going to introduce you to some amazing teens who are making a difference in their community. Summer is a busy time at the Crooked Lake Library, and that's where you'll find 13-year-old Allison Staples lending a hand.
One thing they always need me to do is put away holds a lot and pull out books for holds.
Allison is one of more than 20 volunteers who've signed up for the Volunteer program at the Anoka County Library branch in Coon Rapids.
I like being surrounded by books, if that makes any sense. Just like being here and helping out, and also something to do over the summer because sometimes I get bored.
The Bane Chronicles is really good. It's about Magnus Bane. He is actually in the Shadowhunter series.
14-year-old Grace Narog also donates her time shelving books and helping out with story time for the younger kids.
I saw my friend working here, so I came and signed up because she said it was fun.
Each teen taking part in the program works a 2-hour shift once a week.
Our volunteer program is available for teens who apply. They need to be in 7th grade to 12th grade. And it's a great way for them to get involved in the community, help out the library, and get some real-life job experience.
105 things. You're going to be busy.
The program, which was revamped in 2016, is becoming a model for other library systems. The Volunteer program won the 2018 County Achievement Award from the Association of Minnesota Counties and the 2018 Minnesota State Government Innovation Award from the U of M Humphrey School of Public Affairs.
I love fantasy books. Like, I remember 5th grade, my friend begged me to read Harry Potter, and I just fell in love with fantasy, the whole genre in general. It's so good. And I also really like horror a lot. Horror books, horror movies, anything scary.
The volunteers, who have a passion for books, also come up with their own reading recommendations, and they work on special projects. This summer, they are creating an escape room with different puzzles patrons will have to solve to escape the room.
The teens have had some really great ideas, and it's really refreshing and fun to see what they come up with and see how creative the youth can be.
So these are little crafts that we make for these book walks. So these crafts are based off this book, which is about dragonflies. So these are cute little dragonflies.
Creativity, just one of the many valuable skills gained at the library that will serve these youth well at home, school, and in the real world.
Like, someone's looking for a book and I'm like, oh, what's the first 3 letters of the author's last name? And I can find it immediately. It's like a superpower.
Other than the job experience, everyone here is like so nice, so you can also socialize and just talk to people who are like you and make friends. I've made so many friends, so that's really fun.
Yeah, our volunteer program benefits both the library and the volunteers. The library benefits by getting extra help throughout the busiest time of the summer, and teens benefit by getting real-life job experiences and meeting new friends and becoming part of the community.
And if this story doesn't want to make you run out and volunteer, Allison hopes everyone watching will at least heed this one piece of advice.
Well, I mean, you don't have to do this because it is like a commitment, but read. Please read. Read, definitely.
Some of the teens will stay on into the new school year. If you'd like to learn more about the Volunteen program, just log on to Anoka County's website. They are now starting to take applications for the fall. We're gonna head over to Jennifer now, who is out and about.
I love that it gets me out, it gets me exploring, finding new places even in the city that I've lived for 20 years that I don't even know about.
If Brian Nelson isn't on the hunt for a geocache,
You never really know what it is until you find it.
he's probably off the beaten path somewhere to hide one.
They can be this big, or they can be a shed.
Geocaching is like a global treasure hunt.
I'm going to download this geocaching app.
Yep.
Using an app on your phone or a GPS device, you use coordinates to track down an item hidden out in the world by a fellow geocacher.
108 feet.
So we're close.
We're close, yep.
Coon Rapids resident Brian Nelson, or B. Nelson 333 in the geocaching world, gave me an assist on my first ever attempt at geocaching.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, and that's just right around here, yep.
Are you kidding?
Nope,
I had no idea the map was going to look like that.
Yep.
All of these dots are a cache.
absolutely, yep.
It makes sense that Lions Park is packed with caches when you consider there are millions of them hidden throughout the world.
So I am completely shocked at the sheer quantity just in this general vicinity. I can see you're not shocked at all.
Not at all. In fact, a lot of those are probably put out there by me. I think I've hidden in Coon Rapids probably 200 or 300.
You're kidding.
Nope.
Geocaching.com says the game began in Oregon back in 2000. Today, there are an estimated 3 million caches registered at the site in more than 190 countries.
So we see the opening, we're going to go this way.
Yep.
All right.
But today,
Wish me luck.
I just want to find one.
Usually if you're within 30 feet, you're in the right area, and you just kind of have to look everywhere.
We search for nearly 10 minutes with one false alarm.
That's just garbage, yep. Yep, so this is called cash in, trash out. We got the cash, and we're taking the trash out. Helps the park, helps geocaching have a good reputation, so it's very common with geocachers.
Out it goes. Then an out-of-place branch catches my eye.
Oh, it's way at the top of the stick. I found it. I found it. I found it.
Sometimes caches will have trinkets inside you can take with you, but every cache has a paper log. Once you find it, you have to sign the paper log and then share your find in the app.
We found it, yep.
We found it.
And here is where you can say as little or as much as you want. Some people say very little. Some people write literal books. I am one of the people that writes a lot. The one thing is you don't want to give away too many spoilers.
Brian has found more than 3,000 since he started geocaching in 2013, and he's hid about 550, oftentimes on the water.
Finding new places to go, new interesting places to go, having fun with friends. I've met a lot of friends through this hobby, and it never fails to give us a good day when we can go somewhere fun.
One of his favorite finds was a trackable. These caches are designed to find and take with you to hide somewhere else.
And I found this in the oldest first cache placed in Colorado. So that cache has been there for about 19 years, and it's pretty far out there. It was quite a drive.
It was a high altitude find that took a physical toll, but Brian says it's all part of the hunt.
No, I'm only within 800 feet of the cache. I'm going to figure out a way to get to it. So yeah, that leads to some pretty silly decisions sometimes.
Our little trek along Coon Creek Yes.
Yes.
We did it. Was far less strenuous. Each cache
Back you go.
has a difficulty and terrain rating that lets you decide your level of adventure.
For the next one.
One find for Jen at CTN. I did it. I found my first geocache. If you're interested in learning more, a great place to start is geocaching.com. I'm Jennifer Anderson, geocaching out and about in Lyons Coon Creek Park. Do you have an idea you'd like to see on The Mix? Drop us an email at themix@ctncoonrapids.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.